Hello everyone. Today, I would be presenting our work conducted on data from the social media platform Snapchat. Our work studies cultural differences in friendship network behavior. Snapchat is a social media platform used mainly to connect with individuals whom we call friends, share photos, text and videos with these friends and view their stories. Now, while the platform has the same affordances for all its users, there are a few individual decisions that every user must make, like choose whom to connect to. Does one choose to connect with individuals they want to connect with, or do they end up connecting to individuals whom they feel some sort of an obligation to stay connected to? Probably people who are their workplace colleagues, or individuals with whom they have familial ties. And this decision of a user would reflect directly on the friend network that they form on the platform. And we would see networks ranging from dense, strongly connected to sparse, weakly connected networks. Another decision that a user must take is that is a viewing decision. That is, whose story to view, how long to view these stories for, whether to view them partially, completely, or ignore them altogether. So, do users across the world make similar befriending and viewing decisions in similar settings? And if not, then why not? What is causing this difference? And what does this difference mean for the user themselves and for the platform? Past work in cross-cultural psychology has shown that in similar social settings, human behavior varies in different parts of the world, and this variation has been attributed to the differences in cultures of those regions. Thus, we say that user behavior is influenced culturally. And we say so because culture affects the values an individual believes in, the norms that as a community they subscribe to, and the personality traits that they develop and come to identify with over time. Thus, in this project, we conduct a large-scale quantitative analysis to understand how cultural values affect the network structure and moderate the effect of tie strength on content consumption. In this work, content consumption implies the time spent on viewing stories from one's friends. Past work on offline networks have shown that differences in social ties elicit different interaction patterns in social networks, such as the time spent on content from closer ties is more, closer ties have access to more novel information. Further, comparative work on interpersonal relationships across cultures has shown that the same relationships elicit different behavior in different cultures, such as the kind of information one shares, the amount of emotions one exhibits. However, the intersection of cultural values and user behavior on online platforms is largely underexplored. In this study, our main research questions were, first, do friendship networks differ across countries with different cultural values? And second, just like past work has shown that tie strength decides information diffusion, access to opportunities, we ask the question, do cultural values change the effect of tie strength on dwell time? For this, we collect data from 73 countries highlighted in the world map here. As can be seen, we consider quite a range of countries on the globe. For each of the 73 countries, we randomly sample 10K unique users, aggregate their complete one-hop network, which results in a massive data of approximately 600K users per country. And then for this aggregated data, we analyze the story viewing activity for 1 month. Before delving into our hypotheses and results, let us understand how this abstract concept of culture has been understood and measured, and what do these measures mean? The first dimension that we consider is individualism and collectivism, which focuses on how rights and concerns are framed. That is, whether it is framed as an individual-centric concept or as a group-oriented concept. An example question from their survey which got to this dimension is, I'd rather depend on myself than on others. The next dimension that we consider is that of high and low relational mobility, which is based on people's perception of the opportunities and choices that they have in forming new relationships and breaking away from old ones in the society that they reside in. An example question there is, if one does not like one's current group, they could leave it for a better one. And the third dimension that we consider is that of looseness and tightness, which is based on people's understanding of strength of norms and its conformity. An example question there would be that there are very clear expectations for how one must act in most situations. An example of individualistic, mobile and loose culture is USA, whereas Japan would be an example of a collectivist, less mobile and tighter culture. Due to individualists' focus on I and the opportunities one has in a high mobility culture to form new relationships, individuals there tend to see relationships as fluid. Hence, we predict that they will have larger network size. Whereas in tighter cultures, it is hard for people to bring new members into their social network. Hence, we predict that they will have smaller social networks. Our findings indeed corroborate the hypothesis, and we see that individualistic and mobile cultures have larger networks and tighter cultures have smaller networks. Next, we also analyzed the properties of the ego network, which allows us to comment on the importance of the ego node or the central user. That is one's own centrality in comparison to the others in their network. We find that individualistic, high mobile cultures are less egocentric and tighter cultures are more egocentric. For the next research question, we have the following theoretical model. Various works has shown that individuals treat people in their network differently based on some sort of closeness that they share with each other, which has been understood through the concept of tie strength. But is the effect of tie strength similar for individuals across cultures, or do the cultural values moderate it? Tie strength was operationalized through total number of messages and snaps exchanged in a dyad. Content engagement was measured using the average time spent in viewing stories. And cultural values was operationalized through the three cultural measures that we just discussed. Since individualists are less likely to treat other people based on group membership, and high relational mobility cultures have relationships which are more fragile, thus they are less likely to adjust their interpersonal behavior based on tie strength. In tighter cultures, tie strength is a monitoring mechanism. That is, it powerfully regulates people's behavior. Thus, we hypothesize that it will have a positive moderation effect. The results show that individualistic and mobile cultures have a negative moderation effect and tightness has a positive moderation effect. In conclusion, we say that friendship networks for individualistic, mobile and looser cultures is larger and less egocentric. Individualism, mobility and looseness negatively moderates the effect of tie strength on content engagement. The analysis of data at the scale of 73 countries, 600k users, using three cultural value theories gives us some very interesting insights, which is that while characteristics of social ties and social networks predict interpersonal dynamics and behavior, we find that the predictive power is critically dependent on the culture. This has direct implications for platforms that are reliant on good recommendations for a good user experience. The results that friend networks and time spent on content consumption varies with respect to one's culture can serve as an important aspect to make recommendations more culturally sensitive. And we look forward to seeing how the broader research community will draw benefits from this work and its results. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing your opinion and feedback and talking to you more on this topic.